Steyn. Join me as I do interviews with leaders in the field of artificial intelligence from across the world. We speak about the business relevance of artificial intelligence, and we also speak about the future. Is it to be feared or to be embraced? Please subscribe at my website for updates on future interviews. We often hear about the need to automate back office tasks. The topic of robotic process automation comes to mind. But what about the front office and our interaction with our customers? My guest today is Ryan Falkenberg, the co-founder and CEO of South African company CLEVVA. They work with organizations globally, providing a low-code platform to build, manage and deploy front office digital workers. We had a fascinating discussion covering topics such as the fear of robots taking our jobs, the advantage of augmenting our teams with intelligent technology, and the resultant liberation from repetitive menial tasks. We spoke about how this technology can unlock human potential, reimagining the work and the worker of tomorrow, and using technology in the education of our children. I was very inspired by Ryan and his vision for the future, and I'm sure you will find this conversation interesting and enlightening.
All that, but Ryan, thank you. We've known each other for a few years. You are doing some interesting things, very interesting things with your company CLEVVA. So tell us about that. If people say you've got your 2-minute elevator pitch, what does CLEVVA do? Why should people engage with you?
Well, great. So thanks for having me. Really a pleasure. And so CLEVVA is a technology that we built to help companies essentially build digital experts. Part of the digital workforce we now are starting to see across different areas, both back office as front office. We realized in the front office, it's not just a digital worker. You're not just replicating a process. The challenge when you deal with customers is that their context matters. I come to you with my issue. I want you to start with me, not with product or not with my policies or procedures. So what we do is we help our clients build a digital expert that can deal directly with customers, that can facilitate a need conversation, that can do a root cause analysis with a customer query, essentially become the digital service expert that customers can engage with via any channel, whether it's via a chatbot interface, via their phone, via the website, or if they prefer to deal with staff, and because they offer such an amazing customer engagement experience, our digital experts then will augment the call center teams as well as the retail teams, so that essentially no matter which channel you choose, you're going to be asked the right questions, you're going to be given the right advice, and then you're going to have the actions triggered and automated for you so that you don't have to wait and keep going to different queues and different channels. It'll be done for you instantly. So it's really, that's what we do, is we help, and typically banks, insurers, and telcos, companies that have big, complex channels, complex products, lots of rules. Our digital experts give them the assurance that they will give a customer the same optimal customer engagement experience no matter what channel they choose, but it'll happen in a very compliant and consistent way.
Important topics. So there's a lot of talk and work done in back office automation, RPA and the rest. This front office thing is very interesting. You've already alluded to it, augmenting the staff, because I think in all these conversations, there's the fear of people are going to lose their jobs and the robots are going to take over, which I think is to some extent inevitable in certain instances. But if the technology can make me be better at my job, service my customers better and faster, and ultimately enjoy my job more, then this technology is great. So I know years back I saw a demo of what you guys did, and I think the context was if somebody walks into a car dealership, for instance, then the technology has most likely changed and grew quite a lot. But the technology can help the human that's dealing with the customer ask the right questions, context, which you've already mentioned, so why do you want to buy a car? Is it for a family? Are you a sports enthusiast? And to really guide that human through the right options so that the customer gets a product that he or she wants. But those were, I think, maybe early days still. So what are the exciting things, and you've kind of alluded to it already, but the things that you've been doing, say, in the last year, innovations and new things that you're offering to the market?
So I think I'll talk to 2 points you made. The one is about the loss of jobs. And I think what we realized, and where I got into this journey quite passionately, is actually my history has been in human learning and human enablement, really the liberating of human spirits. And what I realized when we were focusing on essentially coding human brains with formula, that's what you do in training. You have a policy, a procedure, a product, they're rules. And what you want to make sure of is everybody learns your rules and then applies them correctly. And so what we ultimately do to humans is we make them robotic. We say your work is the replication of a formula that I pay you to do. And so you're part of my production line. And there's no human spirit in that. It's as a banker, I'm worried that I forget to ask you these questions which are not compliant, and then I'm going to get in trouble. So all I'm trying to do is get it right. I'm not trying to be better or more human. I'm just simply trying to be more robotic, actually. And so what we realized is if we can take all of that logic, that rule-based logic, and say to people, that's not what you should be doing. That's not human. That doesn't make you special. That makes you like everybody else. So let's get digital experts to do that. And then let's allow you to accelerate in your human spirit. What is that? Well, part of what makes me different is that I can handle different conversations in a way that other people may not. I have different EQ capabilities, different spiritual quotients, different physical, etc. So there's a way in which we can unlock as humans and be allowed to learn different capabilities that are not replication capabilities. So we are quite passionate about building digital workforces and augmenting humans so that they can be liberated to stop learning the repetition work, and this concept of work can actually become more a concept of I have a passion. I don't go to work because I'm getting paid to do a task. I actually go there to add value, to grow as a human, to liberate myself, to innovate, to create. Those are wonderful energies and potential for humanity. And I think digital workforces almost are our liberators from the robotic nature of work that we've been trapped into. So that's the first side. The second side, in terms of what CLEVVA is getting much better at, is first of all allowing low-code teams to capture quite complex expertise in banks, insurers, as I said, in telcos, in a way that can be done fairly quickly. So in sort of 8 to 12 weeks, you can build a digital expert. Then you can deploy that across lots of channels, so you don't get trapped by one interface. You can hook it into any of the interfaces. And then what's also very powerful is that it works seamlessly with operating systems, either directly or in partnership with RPA, Robotic Process Automation, digital workers that execute onto systems for us, so that we can now work within a company's ecosystem and ask the right questions, gather the right information, hand it over to the operating systems to execute, come back to the customer and say it's done for you. And I think what we've got better at is building digital experts that can work within technology ecosystems and business ecosystems. They're not a help tool. They're actually doing work, and they're saving humans from doing the work that is dehumanizing them. And that's our passion, is almost rehumanizing organizations and workforces so that we can reimagine and become more conscious as a species about what it is to be truly human.
There's so many things you just said that's so close to my heart. The ethos behind these things, the future of work, how we better humanity. Because I'm not really a techie myself. I'm very interested in this field, but I'm worried about the future of my son and what world we're creating for our children. And will we become better as humans? So I love that. That's the ethos behind what you guys are doing, Ryan. What would you say is the biggest problem for organizations that want to embark on this journey? So I guess it could be things like undefined processes, data problems, and so forth. But what are the most common things that you have found as organizations want to employ this digital workforce in their organizations?
I suppose it talks to a digital maturity and where they're at in terms of their journey of transformation. What I tend to find what's powerful about digital workforces is that they actually are designed to work in existing legacy environments. So what you really are doing is building a digital workforce that can work in the current environment. You don't have to rewire all the plumbing in order to get this thing working. You can actually get it working in your existing, the as-is world, and start optimizing using digital workers. So I think part of the challenge we've had is almost the buying into this concept of digital workers, and also realizing that the power of it comes when you start getting straight through processing. In other words, you get processes automated the whole way through. What I think has been difficult is that historically the back office processing was being done on systems, but then they were breaking because there was a lot of the front office data that was feeding them that just wasn't the right data. It wasn't ready. So there were so many of these dependencies that were in the environment that you couldn't get almost the full experience of automation. That's now starting to change. So one of the real exciting areas for us is we automate the logic that doesn't sit in systems. It sits in human brains. So now we can automate that and then hook it straight into systems. And I think what's now you'll start seeing happen is companies are going to realize just how quickly this can be done and how powerful it is when you get it done. And also that they don't need to get too worried about the shifting of work and saying, are we going to just retrench masses? I think it requires leadership. It requires a reimagining of human work and saying, how do we get the replication work shifted, but that we don't then just get into this cutting model of that the humans have no value, but that we rather start re-engaging with our teams to say, how can we make you help us future-proof ourselves? An example is COVID. I think it's a fascinating one for me, is most of us pre-COVID never saw this coming. Most of us. Yeah. And the reason is we were so head down, busy working on our current world. We just didn't take the time to look up, reflect, and read all the signs that were there. Our planet is in trouble. It is telling us this. It has been telling us over and over. We just don't listen because we are busy. We're like ants. We're busy humans, and we are not conscious. Because activity overwhelms us. This is what happens in companies, is humans are just very busy. Productivity is their focus, but they don't have a chance to be conscious and look and think and reimagine and actually analyze. Now, if we could get our teams to be doing that, we could future-proof businesses, because that what it does is it says we're not like the Titanic, which is just powering into obvious icebergs. We're going to use our teams to do far more analysis, far more understanding systems, far more thinking about the broader issues, not the production. We're not down below the deck just making sure that the machines are running. Those are done by digital workforces. We are rather making sure that we are reimagining why are we going on this journey? What journey should we be going on? How do we go on different journeys? Now that is going to be really, I believe, make our organizations agile, robust, change ready, and far more adaptive. And so I think that's the role of humans, is for us to be the thinkers who reimagine and understand systems and complexity, and then leverage digital workers to do the doing part. The thinking part should be done with humans. And if you analyze most companies, most jobs have no thinking. None. They just are the doers. And I think therein lies the opportunity, is that companies see that and they go, oh, our people, what are we going to do with our people? They are the doers. Now we're going to have digital workers doing it. Well, I think we have an opportunity to really unlock people, and we will be surprised at just how much energy, how much positive meaning will come out of that. But that needs some leadership, and that needs to be a view of, it's okay for us to fundamentally rethink our business models, not just technologically, but through our human lens. And that's part of what is holding it back, is that it's almost this. We used to do automation just to replicate our as-is world and our current, so we're optimizing our current business models. What the future state is almost we're going to be automating stuff so that we can almost reimagine our business models, become much quicker in change, more agile, more adaptive. And sometimes that's unsettling. I think COVID, though, is probably for all of us said, change is coming no matter what. So we better become better at this and become almost very fit to change. Adaptation should be how we live, and thinking should be a large part of what I do at work, not the doing part. And my gut is automation is going to be the critical enabler of companies to be able to reimagine that. So it's coming. It's going to come quite quickly. I think we're all kind of shell-shocked by, first of all, trying to get our teams to work remote and just getting that practically working. Now everyone's into the cost-cutting and how do we make sure that nothing, we carry on with the as is, but we do it in a more cost-effective way. I think phase 3 is going to start coming, which is we can't carry on cutting costs. We now have to start reimagining. And the way we can reimagine is by using digital enablers that can get the doing done far more cost effectively, far more accurately, far more at scale. And let's rather get our teams to start thinking, applying, innovating, creating. And my feeling is that third wave is going to be coming fairly soon once the dust has settled.
I think a lot of organizations tackle this issue as a technology first or technology only thing. Yeah. Where, to what you've alluded to now, it's more about culture, it's more about leadership, and almost then comes the technology. And I think that's where a lot of these initiatives maybe fall flat if we think of RPA and other technologies. We just think it's a silver bullet, or AI or machine learning for that matter. What if a customer or prospective customer contacts you and their main motive is, we want your technology so that we can save costs by getting rid of people, which is, I think, often the underlying or the clear motive. That's quite a conversation, most likely, because why invest in robots or digital workers and not get rid of people in order to have a return on investment, if you would? So it's maybe a philosophical conversation. I don't know, but how would you tackle that?
I believe that those jobs are going to go irrespective. So what's going to happen is, so we will definitely help that client digitize their expertise and give customers a digital service expert that can do their sales and support digitally through chatbots, etc., without having to make, let's say, a contact center, if that's what their objective is. However, by enabling them to do that more cost effectively, etc., what will start happening is they will realize the competition can do that too. Everyone can start offering customers a very efficient and effective digital self-service experience. So now what's the differentiator? Because you'll start zero-basing that, and efficiency and effectiveness will become what everyone has. The differentiator will be the experience. And the experience will be derived by the culture and the people and the way they approach their business. And so ultimately, humans are the differentiator. So whether we are really a disruptor to that and we'll accelerate it, ultimately, those businesses will get an early benefit in terms of efficiencies and cost. That's for sure. We'll help them with that. But within a couple of years, when the others start catching up, they will have to go back to saying our people, our culture is what will keep us ahead and will truly differentiate us. And so we better focus on our people and our culture, because those are the sustained competitive advantages. The technologies are just the ways of creating efficiencies in the current thinking. But it's the thinking that has to change constantly as the world keeps changing and the variables keep changing. And so I'm comfortable that ultimately many companies are going to, first of all, cut. And it's going to be extremely painful. There's going to be a lot of job losses. It is going to be painful, and governments are going to have to step in to help people through this journey, because they are going to lose. If governments just hold on to the industrial roles and for the sake of employment, I think they're holding back their economies. They almost need to say, this is going to happen. So how do we come up with a plan of economically supporting those who are going to go through transition? How do we help them reskill themselves? Because the schools are totally ill-suited to the future. Our schools are still training our kids to replicate. They are training them to be compliant. They're training them for all the things that are going to become less relevant, because ultimately we want our kids to think differently, not the same. We want our kids to be going to a school where they get given a problem with no answer, as opposed to an answer that they must learn and replicate. So one of the challenges we've got is that our kind of ways in which we rewire our humanity is ill prepared for the future state, and so it's going to be extremely disruptive. There's going to be, I think, a lot of innovation that's going to come through. I think it's going to open up opportunities for private schooling to reimagine and kind of completely go in different directions, just give up on the current model and just say, we're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to have our kids sit and listen to a teacher give them the old stuff. We're going to get them understanding social media. We're going to get them given challenges that they have to solve we can't solve. In fact, as adults, our job is to give them problem statements, not solutions, because their world, their future will be about coming up with new thinking, not replicating old thinking. And so we are in a very major disruption, not just in terms of companies or technologically. We are in a disruption in politically, socially, economically, because the old models are not working. We have got massive kind of unfair economic systems. The wealth disparities is just unsustainable. The old model is just not working. So disruption is the only way that's going to change. We're not going to have an incremental change. There will be a lot of pain in the system. But my philosophy is, as long as I can help and enable that change and accelerate it if need be, but then really look to say, how do we help people almost rethink themselves and become self-conscious again and say, well, what is it that makes me special? It's not what I know. Because I can learn content, but so can a digital worker learn content. What I need to reimagine is what's special about me and how can I bring my unique value into this world? And that will create a new level of consciousness that I think will open up massive opportunities and will, I'm hoping, force all of us to look at our world more systemically, become far more conscious about our environment and the impact that we have, and not be so focused on ourselves, our job, because we go to work unconscious. We drive. I do that. I go to work. I drive. I don't even know I'm driving. I arrive at work. I just become an automaton. I just get into the habit of working and doing. I come home, lie on the couch. I have my glass of wine. I'm not conscious. And so I'm not thinking, I'm not aware that the stuff I'm doing is damaging the planet, is damaging society. I'm just watching it. I'm not part of it. We have this opportunity to remove this cognitive noise from humans, give it to digital workers, and say to people, spend more of your time thinking, spend more of your time reflecting, because that is truly valuable. And you need to get your upper brain more skilled, more engaged. At the moment, we all work with the lower brain. And that is our human's journey. But there is pain coming, and I'm okay with that pain because it's inevitable. Yes. I would rather have that than an incremental change, which is going to be too slow for our planet and too slow for our children.
You spoke about education. I hated school, specifically because of what we spoke about now. In fact, history is one of my biggest passions now, but in school I hated it because, you have to memorize all these dates and things, and it doesn't matter. It's what's the meaning of the history. So now during lockdown, my son is with me every second week, and I had to homeschool him. His school was very good. They would produce videos almost every day that I would sit with him, work through the videos, but it was boring as beep. So he's got a few games on his iPad. That is a lot more educational. And I don't think his mom would like to hear this, but I just decided we're not going to listen to all this nonsense from the school. I want him to, because he's fixing issues, he's solving problems through these educational games. So I would almost rather him just focus on that than go to school, But I think one of the issues we have is we don't really know what roles we are preparing children for in 5 or 10 or 20 years. And we are already so far behind. So I think for all parents, this is a massive issue, this educational issue. Right before we almost end off, you spoke about banking, spoke about insurance, spoke about telcos. Give us a few examples of practically how this technology is used.
Great.
In a call center, for instance.
Okay, so let's take a call center in a large bank. Let's say you would call. Typically, what you would have is an IVR asking press 1, 2, 3. What they're doing there is they're trying to work out what you want, so they can find a human brain that knows how to answer that question. So it is really a brain navigation technology. And what we realize is actually, you should just go straight to people, because we want our agents to be excellent at customer conversations, empathy, listening, and not worry about that. I have got no clue about whether it's credit card or home loans or transactional. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to have a conversation with you. But as the call comes in, our digital expert engages, and it opens up in for example, a unified front end. Just have one screen, so it's navigating them through there with the information on the other side, and our digital worker quickly grabs any information or data on the customer from the CRM. It contextualizes, and then it starts offering the agent all the possibilities of this conversation. And as the agent is indicating where the customer is going, the digital expert is recalibrating and navigating them, just like a GPS. So consider it being like a person who's driving an Uber, and I've never driven in these areas, and the GPS is navigating me. That's what it's doing. And so they can ask all the relevant questions. It's all tracked. It's all compliant. And then as things need to be executed, our digital worker in the background is handing it over to systems and saying, done, 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 and then closing the call. So the agent doesn't have to go to different screens. They literally are just having a conversation and being told where to go. And no matter where the customer is going, they're not going down a decision tree. It's simply recalibrating and directing them. So that's how it would work in a contact center. But that same logic could be then offered to a customer, let's say via a chatbot front end. So a chatbot would open up. I generally find chatbots frustrating because if they actually understand what I want, they don't know the question to ask me. They give me generic stuff. Well, we can then make that chatbot clever. We can actually hook in, and they just become the language layer, and they ask the questions. We tell the chatbot what to ask. And so instead of the customer having a human engagement, they will have a digital engagement, and the same questions will be asked. They'll be able to, if they say my credit card's stolen, we would then work out what credit cards you have. We'd ask the question, which of those credit cards, and we would actually help solve that problem for them. And that's really what we're doing is making the customers have a very contextual, relevant digital expert that solves the problem. And whether I'm having a human that's having the conversation with me, facilitated by the digital expert, or a chatbot that's having the conversation with me, facilitated by the digital expert, I have the same experience. Same with web, if I go on the web, or say if I go on the app. So that's really what we're doing. In telcos is the same. If I have a problem with my line or a problem with my bill, I need to speak to someone, but I want them to understand my problem, my specifics of my bill, and then they want them to fix it. Well, if you work with a clever digital expert, they will actually get you the root cause of your problem and get it solved using the back office systems. And that's what we want to do, is we want to give a customer that absolute assurance that no matter if they call, if they walk into a retail environment, if they go digitally, they're not relying on, did this person get trained, or do they know what they're doing? They can just be confident that they always seem to be asked the right questions, that their issues are understood at the context level, and the actions are done for them so that they're not then waiting. And we really hope that customer experience through digital experts will be transformed, because then companies don't have to worry about, I've got 1,000 contact center agents. They only can remember certain things. They keep having to transfer you. They keep forgetting. They keep resigning or coming. All of that noise can go away, because we can get a contact center person who, what I love about this is suddenly the differentiator of a contact center agent isn't the fact that I can learn financial products. It's actually that I can speak 4 or 5 languages. I'm culturally understand many, and I've got high empathy, high resilience. Yes. Fancy that. A lot of people who only have school leavers actually are probably more resilient, have better personalities, can speak multiple languages. They are far more value adding than a person who actually can learn my products. And that's what this is we can now get those people highly employed, highly valuable, because they bring themselves to the table. They don't bring an education that's been programmed in their brain but doesn't have application.
That's in the amazing.
Future. So that's what CLEVVA does, and we feel it has the potential of transforming the workplace and liberating all of us, but also making sure customers have a consistent, compliant, and very context relevant.
Okay, so for viewers who are interested to engage with you guys, and obviously I'll add the website link and social media feed links onto this video comments, Ryan. If just briefly, how do you commercialize this? So is there an upfront piece of work and then there's a license fee, or just very high level so people know before they contact you?
So the platform that we offer allows you to build multiple digital experts. The primary one we build is a digital service expert that can offer sales and support to customers. There is then secondary, often customers can then look at building an operational experts like compliance experts or HR. That's typically the secondary experts that they build. And that platform is a low-code platform that they pay an annual license to basically capture all of their front office logic in and power that and integrate it into the operational systems. And then from the contact center perspective, there's a monthly per user license. It's very cost effective. And from a customer self-service, it's basically a sessional interaction license. So every time a customer uses it, they basically get charged just for solving that problem per engagement. So it's a consumption-based model which allows customers to get the value that they pay for, not pay ahead and hope that they get the value. And that's really how we work. And then we work very closely with, for example, RPA platforms like Blue Prism. We've got a great partnership with Blue Prism, working really in an integrated way with them. Also work with the other RPA platforms to drive end to end. But our model is that, and then we would often work with the automation teams or the automation or our partner network who implement automation, and they will come and build that digital expert for you. So they are specialists in that area. As I said, it takes a very quick. It's typically your first build is about 12 weeks, and then you've got something meaningful, and then you can start adding to it. But our whole focus is getting you speed to value, so that it's not theory. You're getting that real value and testing it and proving it. As I said, within 3 to 4 months, you've got real evidence.
Wow, Ryan, this is amazing. I was very interested in the functionality and all that, but the fact that there's such a connection between meaningful work, the future of work, the whole ethos behind it, the planet, and so that is amazing. And I didn't know that that's the motivation behind some of the things you guys are doing, and that is incredible. So thank you. I'm very excited to get this video published in due course. I hope many of the viewers will be in touch with you guys about helping them. And I thank you for your time. This was really an amazing chat. Thank you.
An absolute pleasure. I really appreciate the opportunity to share it with you.
Thank you.